Hey, so we are live. Today's an exciting day. B'siyata d'shmaya, we're finally going to have a full circle over here, bringing us back to the Mishnah, back to Rav Yehuda, finally understanding Rav Yehuda that allows one to come sit at the table. What are you sitting in Mars? There's no Mars, so it's not that big. Finally allowing one to sleep under a bed. And what is the reason? I apologize for the lack of review today. Completely forgot, to be honest with you. Someone should give a shout out. But let's get going. We're going to pick it up. We're about 10 lines down. First word on line is va'alu. We're going to do a quick chazara. The game plan is to get to the two dots. At the two dots, that is a beautiful place to stop. And then we're going to have a chazara night, because we did basically a blot of Gemara, believe it or not. People who are 15 minutes a night in almost 2 weeks, we've already covered a whole blot. And we're going to have a night of Chazara tomorrow night. And then Sunday night, we will go weiter. Obviously, Chazara more over the weekend. So we pick it up, Vaharei Mita. Vaharei Mita. Again, about 10 lines down. The first word line is Va'alu. Vaharei Mita, Diesh Vakame Greifin. This is Chazara. The bed has many agroifim, many fistfuls. And we just finished saying that Rav Yehuda admits that when something is the size of a fist, he doesn't care why it was made, it acts as an oil. So the question is, in the Mishnah, the bed has many fistfuls, it should act as an oil, and it should disallow you from being considered to be sleeping in the Sukkah. Utinan, and yet we learned in the Mishnah, Rav Yehuda Aimer Chaver was still in Chazara, don't worry. Rav Yehuda Aimer Noigin Hayinu Shayinu Yeshinu Tachzamitim Neazekeinim. They would sleep under the bed in front of the elders. So says the Gemara, what's going on? Question on Rav Yehuda. Answers the Gemara, this we saw already also, shiny mita, bed is different. Why is the bed different? It's not that it's made for no reason. It's made for an anti-oyel, as we explained yesterday. Hayalul gaba asuya, it is made to be on top of the bed. Says the Gemara fires back. But shvarim nami, what do you mean? The oxen as well are ligaban asuyan, are made to be on top of them. So why by the oxen does Rabbi Yehuda yes allow it to act as an oil? Answers the Gemara, ki asa Ravin came, Amar Rav Elazar, shiny shvar, oxen are different. Hoyel sins umaginam, they shelter, they shield, they protect, al haroyim on the shepherds. On the sun from the sun, and the rain from the rain. So the Gemara now fires right back. I like to call this the game of Gemara ping pong. Back and forth, firing back and forth. Says Gemara, 1 second, what about the bed? Your bed as well shelters ala minolin on your shoes, sandalim and your sandals, shetachteha. So that's where we finished yesterday. Middle of a tug of war. What is the difference between the bed and the oxen? Let's quantify very clearly the difference, because now we're about to hit the home run. The bed, Rav Yehuda allows you to sleep underneath it. If he allows you to sleep underneath it, what does that mean? That the bed is not acting as a barrier. The ox, Rav Yehuda allows you to sit on top of it. What does that mean? That it is, yes, acting as a barrier. So we have this issue that's called a steer, that's a contradiction. On one hand, the bed and the ox we think are doing the same thing. They're at some level made to be on top of them. They're at some level made for things underneath it. So how do we answer up this steer within the opinion of Rav Yehuda? We're going to have two beautiful answers. Answer number 1. Ella Amarava. That word Ella is critical. Why is that word Ella critical? Ella always means the Gemara is pivoting and changing. Ella means new tarets, meaning until now we went back and forth with ping pong. Ella, new tarets. Once you see that Ella, you know something big is happening. Says the Gemara, Ella Amarava, shiny shvar. So now Rava is telling us, oxen are the odd man out. Meaning, a bed, it does not block. Why does it not block? Go back to your original answer, because a bed is not made by kavana to be an oil. But what about the oxen? The oxen do block. Says Rava, oxen are different. Why? Hoyel va'asuyin, because they are created lahagin, to protect al b'nei me'ayin, on their intestines or their entrails, if you want the fancy word, shelahem, of them. Shene'emar, and he proves this from a pasuk. Ar ubasar talbisheni, ar skin, ubasar and flesh, talbisheni, you clothed me, you dressed me, uba'atsamais vigidin, and bones and sinews, tisoichecheni, you covered me. Now, I am aware this teretz is a bit of a difficult teretz. I'm going to explain it, and then we're going to go and see the next teretz, which is an easier teretz. But let's understand, what is this teretz of Rava? Ella, new teretz. Meaning, let's understand, the bed in the Mishnah, no problem. Why no problem? Why does it not block you? Go back to your original answer. What was our original answer? It's not made b'kavana. Einoi asui b'idei adam. What do you mean? The oxen are the same thing? Oh, it's made for on top of. The oxen are the same thing. It's made to shield. The oxen are the same thing. Says Gemara, no. Oxen are odd. Oxen are different. And I'm going to prove it from a pasuk. Why? Because oxen are made by God, as the pasuk in Eoiv teaches us that oxen are created to protect on their insides. So oxen are different, that they're created to protect on the insides, and that's why an ox blocks the tumah. Because God created an animal to be an element of protection. But the bed, is a bed created for protection? The answer is no. Because what's a bed created for? A bed, not protection. Now, I'm aware it's a very fine nuance.
So
and everyone
protect the animal's bones.
Yes.
Not underneath. If you're underneath, it shouldn't protect you.
Right. Yeah, again. This first teretz of Rava is a very difficult teretz. And that's a good question. I'm sure other people are wondering, all the questions we just asked a second ago, we could fire back. So an animal is made to protect on the sinews, and a bed is made to protect on the shoes. We could ask the same question. And how? So you have a pasuk. Maybe that's the koyach of the teretz. It could be. It's one mahalach that the pasuk bolsters it. The fact that it's a pasuk in Nach lessens the severity of the proof. But let's leave it. Everyone's questions are good questions. But that is the teretz of Rav. Teretz number 2 is more yisaidistic too. We're learning the Succah Chevra. Maybe we forgot. It seems like we've been in Ayulis the last 2 weeks. We're learning Sukkah. So teretz number 2 brings us back into the world of Sukkah. Ve'i bayis ema. We're on a new teretz. Anyone who just came, we're answering up. Finally, the stira and Rabbi Yehuda. The Rabbi Yehuda, yeah.
The first teretz is also Sukkah.
No. Very good. It's also a Sukkah. No, that's going on the animal. Tiseichecheni is in the pasuk.
Right,
it means that
which means that
it's a similar word. It's true, but there it's referring to the bones and the skin of the animal protects it. It's a similar word. It's ba'atzam is beginning to seichecheni. That's the end of the pasuk in Eov. It's true. It's the same word. But now we're coming to answer up the contradiction in Rava. Again, in Rabbi Yehuda, In the Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda allows you to sleep under a bed. Why are you allowed to sleep under a bed? The bed should block you from being in the sukkah. On the other hand, when it came to Tumah, the children that were brought up in Tahira, traveling to get that cup of water with their stone cup from the Shiluach spring, the animal, according to Rabbi Yehuda, did shield them from Tumah. That's a stira. A bed and an animal are seemingly the same creation, both not created for a shield, some level gonna shield. Iba Yisema, teretz number 2, about 20 lines down. First word on the line is Rav Yehuda. Bayis Ema, Rav Yehuda l'taimei. Rav Yehuda goes according to his reasoning. A yisoid, a foundational idea in Rabbi Yehuda l'taimei, according to his tam, according to his reasoning. De Amar, that Rabbi Yehuda holds. Sukkah diras keva be'inon. A sukkah needs to be a permanent structure. Dira, to live in it. Keva, permanent be'inon, it needs to be. Ve'havale, and it is mita, a bed. Diras arai, and a bed is a temporary structure. This sukkah oyel keva, and the sukkah we just said is a permanent structure. So the yisoid in Rabbi Yehuda is what? That a sukkah is permanent. Now everyone who's wondering all the sukkah Torah that they heard their whole life, that a sukkah can't be permanent, and what do you mean? A sukkah is a temporary dwelling. That is the famous machlekes in Rabbi Yehuda, which is parak number 1 that one day Eretz Hashem will get to. But Rabbi Yehuda is the shita that holds a sukkah the opposite. needs to be keva, needs to be like your house. So a sukkah is keva. What's a bed? A bed is arai. V'loi asi oyhel arai. And an oyhel arai, a temporary tent, does not come. The bed does not come. Umivatel and nullify oyhel keva. Does not come and nullify the permanent structure of the sukkah. So this answer goes all the way back. A lot of people wanted to suggest this way back on day number 1. Why does Rabbi Yehuda allow you to sleep under a table, under a bed? Because a bed is a temporary structure. A sukkah is a permanent structure. And the math doesn't add up. A permanent structure outweighs a temporary structure. What's your question?
Why is it bed temporary?
Why is bed temporary? Good question. But that's what the Gemara is assuming right now.
That it was there.
Isn't it short temporary?
Good question as well.
Yeah, but
So again,
but it's not.
everyone's questions are good. But I want everyone to realize that the two terutzim in the Gemara, each one is focusing on a different aspect of the stira. The first teretz is focusing on the ox is different. The ox is strange because the ox shields on its body pasuk and iyov. The second teretz is coming to teach me what sukkah is strange. Why is sukkah strange? Because sukkah is a special yisoid. The special idea in sukkah is that a sukkah is permanent. For example, I'm in this room. If I go climb onto this table, are you going to say you're not in the room anymore? Of course you're still in the room. What do you mean I'm under a table? No, because in the world of oyhel, in the world of what is shielding me, the overwhelming permanence of the building outweighs the temporal nature of the bed. I know it's late, but because I want to get to the 2 dots so we can have a shtar chazar tomorrow night and over Shabbos, we're going to take the liberty of doing something we're not supposed to do and getting to the 2 dots. Even though we're supposed to stop right now so everyone can learn. Halavai, anyone who could stick around after Ma'ariv and put in their 2 minutes of chazar then, it would be better. But due to the Wednesday nature, let's just read 4 more lines. But if you don't read this Gemara before tomorrow night, the Chazar tomorrow will be a bracha l'batala as well, because the whole thing will have gone out at the window. V'harav Shimon asks the Gemara, what about Shitas Rav Shimon Da'amar, that he says, you know what, I give in, forget it, let's leave it, let's stop here, who cares about 2 dots? Well, what's 2 dots? Who decided 2 dots is a thing in life? We're stopping here, finished, stopping here, all the Kinyan Chaver will be very excited. Chaim, Rabbi Heinemann, that's the right move, right? The real Kinyan guy. I can't hear you. 1 second. Say it again.
They have electricity in Rhode Island?
It shows strength.
Strength. There you go. No, there's no electricity. He's sitting in a dark room. Don't worry. He's using a solar power just to power his phone to listen to us. Okay, Chaver, we're going to stop here. Tomorrow night, Chazara. Let's chaz the piece we just got. Now we finally have full circle. Let's get going.
Rabbi,
Hit it. Yes.
You still have the Rabbi Yehuda on oil ice that you have to answer.
That what? What's the question?
You have Kama Graphius over there as well.
So good. So the answer to that question is, let's speak this out for everyone, is the Gemara now in the Ella, in this Teretz, is teaching us that each of the 2 Terutzim are giving me a Chiddush that redefines Shitas Rabbi Yehuda. The first Teretz says, Shar is different and everything else will not be an oil. The second Teretz says, Sukkah is different and everything else will, yes, be an oil. And that with that, you have to let all the dominoes settle. I agree, Gabe, I agree with your question. And as we do the Chazara, hopefully we'll allow all the pieces to fall back into place in Amal. That is a very, very important Ha'ara. But we have 1 more minute tomorrow. I want to give everyone a minute to read through the Gemara.
Why didn't we just say this?
Guys, start reading. I'm listening to him. Yeah, what do you say, Maish?
Beginning.
What?
Why didn't we just say something different from the beginning?
So, Maish, you ask a very good question. Why don't we say
this
something
whole
different
thing
than
was
beginning?
like pedagogical.
Could be. That's a question you could ask in many areas of Shas, that all of a sudden, we're seemingly going through the steps, and sometimes we are just going through the steps to get there. You have to flush out all potential answers. But you're right, and I think some of you said this on day 1, that Lamaisa Sukkah is different, and let's just say you're citing Sukkah. So I agree with your assessment.
Maybe we don't. Maybe we don't.
Yeah, listen, all your suggestions are good suggestions, meaning It could be we just had to go through the steps. It could be we only got to this point by going through the steps. Or I'll give you another suggestion. Maybe that in order, if so, no one's going to ask, wait, what about that Mishnah? What about that Mishnah? So the Daf went through it all to tie up all loose ends. All good points. But either way, that's the final Yesod in the two roots of Rabbi Yehuda. Let's make sure we get a good Chazara tonight, tomorrow, Shabbos, and really get this thing in Oyelais, this thing in Rabbi Yehuda.